Alright, what is going on YouTube? And today we got a brand new episode of the Imaginarium Theater. We got the new update with the Pyro Archon out now, which is pretty sick. Looks like a pretty good character. I don't think I'll pull for her, just because I don't have any 5-star Natlan supports, which seems to be a pretty important component of her kit. But who knows, maybe I'll have a bizarre stroke of luck and get like, a couple of those, who knows. But today we are on the Imaginarium Theater Visionary mode, and this one is honestly pretty easy for me, and that's because I do have a lot of Geo characters built. I feel like in Genshin you either have a lot of Geo characters built or none really at all, because, you know, the Geo characters are pretty typically working best with each other, with the exception of Navia and kind of Noelle, because Noelle can have some really good synergy with some other characters, some other supports. But anyway, the elements that this Imaginarium Theater features are Pyro, Cryo, and Geo, and Eula is also one of those Cryo characters, so we got her in here at some point as well. I pretty much used her as a filler character because Eula requires a lot of maintenance and help from her other 3 supports, and I did not have all of those ready. Like for instance, a lot of times you want to run her with Raiden because her energy recharges a lot, it's very high, but everybody really already knows that. So a couple things I will say, some pointers I'll give right out of the bat, are that you want to save at least a couple Pyro characters for the last one, because you go against like the Fat Bunny boss that like has the balls you have to light on fire, and he eats the balls and it cripples him. Phrasing. But yeah, his weakness is Pyro, so you might want to save some Pyro characters for that. There's an Electro Flower boss coming up pretty soon. It's like the second larger boss you face. The first one is the Primo Geo Bishop, which with him you pretty much just want some high damage DPS characters, and the same with like the third bigger boss, which is a Natlan Tiger boss. That one you also just want some characters that do a lot of damage. But the Electro Flower, you're going to want a character that can do some range, like Navia, who's a trial character you can use, or Ganyu, which might also be a trial character, but most people I feel like have Ganyu anyways, and she is a character you can use on this Imaginarium Theater. The reason for that is because the Electro Flower has like the little shield on his head that you have to break to cripple it, and it's off the ground, so all of your grounded characters that don't have any range are going to have a hard time hitting it. So for that reason, I would say just keep a ranged character that does non-electro damage, which will be any ranged character you have in this Imaginarium Theater, basically. You can see right here I picked Ito as my character right there, or I picked Zhongli and I got Ito as the extra one, and thank goodness I do have Ito because he was pretty instrumental. It's really good to have a Geo DPS dealer for these, and before I had Ito, I didn't even have Noelle built, so now a lot of things are falling into place for the Geo teams. And right here I'm using Navia, like double Geo, double Cryo, because I'm pretty sure that's how you want to use Navia, with like a 2-and-2 little combination. It's actually doing a lot of damage, so I don't really know anything very in-depth about Navia or her playstyle, but we just kind of wung it and it worked out. I have since we're not freezing, I have kind of like a different Ayaka build. I did 2-piece Blizzard and 2-piece Gladiators, and that seemed to do the trick. I also have an energy recharge Sands on her, since I'm already getting some attack from the 2-piece set, 2-piece Gladiators, and also the sword, which is like that 4-star craftable from Inazuma. So yeah, we have a pretty good uptime on our burst. Diona I also have is just like a battery build, just to get more energy recharge for Ayaka, and I was thinking Ganyu as well, but I didn't end up running them together. So I went 2-and-2, and we kind of destroyed the Geo Bishop, which I was a little concerned about, but it went well. You know the drill against these little protect the monolith challenges. I always go Ruin Guard. I say it every time just because you hit them one time and then they follow you instead of attacking the monolith, which is pretty sick. It's a little cheat on here that I'm just going to keep doing until they patch because it gives me basically a breather. I'm using Eula here, which should have been a pretty good matchup against these things. But for some reason we weren't critting, so I never got that nuke. I never got the big damage, the physical damage burst, which is kind of a bummer. And these guys seem to have a lot more health than normal Ruin Guards as well. But that's whatever. For the first time in our Imaginarium Theater career, we managed to get a 100% no damage on the monolith, which is cool. Usually that last Ruin Guard always gets a little bit of damage in there. And then right here, which one is this? Oh yeah, we're going against like the little Fatui guys, and so I used my Geo team right here. Just because for this one, I didn't have any characters. Okay, so my strategy is usually to use all my useless characters right away and try to, as soon as possible, get both of their uses so that all my really good characters are fresh towards the end when I really need them. But for this one, for the first time ever, I didn't really have a bad character or one that I needed to get rid of. And I always had a plentiful amount of characters that would suit me well towards the end of the Imaginarium Theater. Towards like Act 7 through 10, which is usually when things can go pretty south and you need to backtrack because you use one of your better characters pretty early on. But anyway, it's taken me a little longer to kill these guys just because of their shields. And they might have been a little bit of a mismatch using Geo against here. But I figured that my best Geo team is not going to be as good as my best Pyro team or my Ganyu team. And I'm glad that I decided to do it this way because I definitely needed Ganyu for the next act, which is the Electro little flower boss dude. Also, a little side note, Happy New Year's. I hope everybody had a great, safe New Year's Eve, and that everybody's going to have a great new year. 2025 is going to be a great year for all of us. It's definitely going to be a grind year for me personally. Hoping to get to 1,000 subs and get monetized by next December, which is a steep goal. I think I got like 250 subscribers or something like that in 2024, which is pretty awesome for me. I hit 500 subs in 2025 or 2024. I think, when did that happen? That was like in the spring. Yeah, that was definitely in the spring. So I guess 500 to 600 was a little bit unusually, abnormally long phrasing. But like I was saying, hopefully 1,000 by the end of the year. I hope everybody had a great Christmas, and if you treated yourself to some Primo Gems and some wishes on Christmas, I hope you got your wish, no phrasing intended, and I hope also that if you pull for Malvika or however you pronounce the little blue girl's name or purple girl, that you also get her. Anyway, here we are, the Electro Reggie's Vine, and this is what I mean right here. So I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but I'm already killing him so fast. But if you have Xingling, you definitely want to use her on this one. And if you have off-field damage, or like Kaya where it's like a rotating damage, you want to be attacking more by the head. I sped it up and did a little reiteration of that, a little playback of what I mean by that right there. Because if you do damage only to the head, then you're not going to hit the rest of its body. So if you think of it like a long winding thing, when it falls to the ground, you can hit multiple points on its body for damage and like repeat hits. But when you're in front of it, you're only really doing repeat hits to the head instead of to like the neck and the trunk of the stem, which is the Electro Regis Vine's attachment to the ground. I'm sorry if that was a really horrible explanation, but it's basically like when you're using a shotgun in Overwatch. Not that I play that game anymore, but when you're using a shotgun, sometimes it's better to aim for the body than the head because of the bullet spread being able to hit the body more than, and whereas if you aimed at the head, some of the shells would go past the head because it's a smaller target. There's definitely a little window, a little sweet spot where you can hit the most amount of damage, including the head and the rest of the body. Glad I thought of that Overwatch analogy, or shotgun analogy. That one, quick easy one, used up all my characters that I didn't see myself using later on. And I think now we are about to go against the Tiger boss, which I'm going to correct myself from earlier, is not from Natlan. I only noticed this thing now. I don't think it's ever been in the Abyss. I don't remember ever fighting this weird little dude before. He's like a little, kind of like a little Chinese lion kind of guy. It was a fun boss fight, I will say that. I'll give him that much. But he's actually from the new DLC part they added to Leeway last year, I do believe. Back in February, I think they added it. He's a boss from there. Pretty easy to take down with my Hu Tao. I don't even know what element he is. I'd guess Animo or Hydro, because he's light blue. He's got a little fishtail. Yes. I just used the highest damage team I could do for this, essentially. And he summons these little things, or he has ways that you can cripple him by doing different damage to these little, you know, elemental orbs that float around him. I think it only took me one try before this attempt to beat him, so not too hard of a boss, but it was fun going against him because I'd never seen him before. So again, I thought he was from Natlan, but he's actually from a new little spot on Leeway that was part of an event last year. Genshin sure loves Leeway. They're always adding characters to Leeway or Leeway events. They're giving out the free 4 stars from Leeway once a year, or like whenever those little events happen. I think it's more like once per new region they give out their free character invitation from Natlan, or from Leeway. And I wish they would do it to Inazuma, because I really want C6 Kujo Sara. But that's neither here nor there. And they're like, I feel like they add little spots to Leeway frequently too. Like they added the chasm, and then the place where that tiger boss was from. This one I chose to go against these guys, these little sentinels, the Geo Sentinels, because I had my Geo team still with 1 use left, and I knew that this was the second to last act, so I just like, screw it. I'm going to use all my Geo characters now, and I really enjoy going against them. I think they're pretty cool opponents. I think the Centaur, the Geo Centaur, is a super cool boss to fight against. It's super satisfying crippling them by shredding the Geo shield. And right here, we got our Hu Tao, Jingling, Ganyu, and Toma. Toma is on the Lava Walker set. Ganyu is, she has a typical Wanderer's Troop build for the charge attack, melt damage. But right now I'm using her for off-field melt. So we're getting a little bit of reaction with Hu Tao. I left the Elemental Mastery Sands on Hu Tao. I did that on the offhand chance there were any Hydro characters, or Hydro bosses, that I could get some Vaporizes on. For some reason I couldn't plunge there. Both times I flung up off this fatty's belly. Jingling is on a massive energy recharge build and still somehow having like not the best uptime. Hot take, but I don't love Jingling simply because of how high investment she is. You gotta have EM, you gotta have energy recharge, you should ideally have attack, and you want a good crit ratio. It's just pretty inconvenient to build, but nonetheless, we take him down, and Jingling is on Emblem of Severed Fate, obviously. So I wasn't too worried about that boss. He's always pretty easy to defeat, but I am usually running him against an Overload Raiden team, which is a lot better, I will say, especially with C5 Raiden and C5 Kujo Sara, C6 Chevreuse. Chevreuse is actually a character that I don't think I ever got to use in this Imaginarium theater, even though she was a character you were allowed to use. obviously, because of the pyro element. Sped through the credits just like on live TV at the end of movies when they're just speeding through the credits. And I also sped this team build section up a little bit because most of you have probably already seen these builds before if you're a returning subscriber. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, but also you can pause at any time or slow the video down if you're interested in any of these builds. I gave D-Luke, who's that guy's name? Starts with a K. He's a new character in Natlan. Ganich. Using his weapon, which I accidentally got during the Hu Tao rerun banner, where I was trying to get the C5 or R5 staff of Homa, and got his weapon one of the times. So I put it on D-Luke because I wanted to save the axe for Eula, just to give her a chance, but I didn't end up using her that much, and I didn't run the Elemental Mastery Claymore on D-Luke just because I didn't think I was going to be doing too many reactions with him, and I was mostly right. So just maxed out on the attack, and gave Noblesse and other supportive artifact sets to most characters that I don't usually use. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope the tips help you out. I know it's a little late coming out. It's been a pretty wonky New Year's, but we're coming after it strong. A little late because we were just firing off on so many different cylinders this New Year's that we didn't get, our heads in so many different places, fighting many battles on many fronts. God bless you guys. Peace out. I love you. I'll see you next time.